You think that you go to university to learn knowledge. No, you don't. You go to university to be brainwashed. The global economy is to have everyone play as much as possible so that wealth can be transferred from the world to the United States, the powers that be, okay? And they do this through two mechanisms. The first is the US dollar. So every time you use the US dollar, you're actually paying a tax to America because America has the power to print as much US dollars as it wants, okay? And the second way that it does this is through something called price hierarchy, okay? A price hierarchy. So the global economy is divided into tiers, okay? So resources are considered the cheapest, even though in reality it should be the most expensive, right? Because resources are limited, they're finite. Above resources, of course, is manufacturing. And above manufacturing is knowledge economy. And then the highest is finance, okay? Basically the game masters. All right, so and as we can see, once with this price hierarchy in place, what we can do now is divide the world according to the specialties, okay? So resource, of course, would be Russia. Russia, the Middle East, the GCC, okay? Saudi Arabia, these places, okay? So these places provide resources. Manufacturing then would be China. Knowledge would be Europe, the Five Eyes, okay? Basically the Anglosphere, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Britain. And then finance, of course, the United States. Okay? All right, so as you can see, this is a system that benefits the United States and its allies to the detriment of China and Russia. But this is how the game is structured. Of course, if the United States doesn't like you, what it can do is not allow you to play this game. And these countries, of course, would be North Korea and Iran, among other countries, okay? So China and Russia isn't happy about the system, but at least they get to play. Iran and North Korea are not even allowed to play the game of the global economy. Now, of course, you can't have people believing that, okay, this entire global economy is structured so that the West can steal resources from everyone else, okay? So what you do is you create another layer called the rules-based international order, okay? Multilateral organizations, which includes the UN and the WTO, okay? World Trade Organization, okay? This is called the rules-based international order. But it's really controlled by the empire, okay? So all these are just basically shadows on the wall that the empire is creating, projecting, okay? To fool us into behaving the way the empire wants. So now that you have the system in place, what you need to do is indoctrinate people into believing that the system is fair, just, and good, okay? And then you do that through three mechanisms. These three mechanisms, of course, are education, media, and culture. What is education? Well, schools, guys, and universities. Academia. You think that you go to university to learn knowledge. No, you don't. You go to university to be brainwashed into believing that this system is not just fear, but actually what really makes this system work is the rules-based national order. Okay? You don't even think about empire. So that's education. Then, of course, you have media, which is CNN, BBC, New York Times. Each time you read an article, you think you're receiving news. You're not receiving news. You're being brainwashed into believing that this order is fair, just, and appropriate, okay? The phrase that you'll keep on hearing over and over is rules-based international order, okay? But it's not a rules-based international order. It's Plato's cave. It's a deception. And the last, of course, is culture, which is Hollywood. And, you know, television shows, sitcoms, okay, things that you absorb every day. There's high culture and there's low culture. All right, so these are three mechanisms in which this order is basically indoctrinated into everyone, so that you don't even know this is a deception. Okay, you believe that this is reality itself, and this is all to create values and norms. Okay, just the way you see the world, which allows for the creation of a legal structure. So that if you break the rules, it's not that the elite will come after you. They don't have to come after you because everyone else will come after you. Okay? If you're that guy who discovers that this is all deception, they'll kill you. Okay? Not the elite, but the people around you will kill you because you are breaking their fantasy. Okay? You're destroying their fantasy. All right? So this is a very effective system. The problem, though, is that you need to spread the system, okay? So there's three problems, okay? First of all, you have to protect this system, the status quo. Then you have to spread this system as well, Okay? And then you also need to justify this system. And you do that through 3 transnational systems, 3 transnational organizations. And these are, first of course, is intelligence. What is intelligence? Spies, okay? Their job is to infiltrate other nations' elites and co-opt them into this system. That's what their job is, okay? That's what intelligence does. Then you have crime. Crime just engages in the most profitable enterprises, which includes, of course, drugs, human trafficking, and something called money laundering, okay? And this is a way to incentivize the global elite to work together. So that's the first 2. And then there's one more mechanism called science. Now you think that science is about pursuing the truth. No, it's not, okay? Science is fundamentally about finding evidence to justify and protect the status quo, okay? That's why science is fundamentally materialistic, okay? So so we have to remember, like, this system is trying to create values, right? And these 3 major values is something called the open society. What is open society? It's just basically globalization, multiculturalism, DEI, right? Diversity is good. Why is it good? Because it's good. We don't know. It's good. Okay, do you understand? They never provide a reason, but it's always, well, you don't believe it, it means you're a racist, which is bad. Okay, so open society. Second is the idea of privatization, okay, or what we call neoliberalism or free market, meaning that governments suck at what they do. Therefore, you should allow private entrepreneurs to control everything. Okay, and this idea of neoliberalism. Again, there's not much evidence to support this, but if you don't believe this, it means you're a communist, okay, which is bad, by the way. And the last thing, of course, is consumerism. So consumerism is just like, how do you prove your value in life? How do you pursue purpose and meaning in life? Buy things, man! Okay? And then put it on Instagram so that people can like it, you know? That's the value of life, man. Make as much money as possible, and then buy a yacht, get a super hot girlfriend, and then broadcast it on Instagram. And then you're a hero, okay? Of course, what people don't discuss is that this system is making people lonely, miserable, depressed, suicidal. But, well, it's because they're not taking enough drugs, right? If you're depressed, you should take antidepressants, and that will solve the issue. So, because intelligence, crime, and science are above the nation state, okay? You need other mechanisms to actually operate these 3 things. And so, what allows for the system to work is a collection of elites, okay? You can break them down into 3 groups. First, you have transnational capital. So think of, finance, transnational capital. Then you have secret societies, and then you have families, okay? So elite families. And these 3 organizations themselves are bounded by something called the occult. And we'll discuss this later on, okay? The occult. The occult is just basically hidden, secret knowledge, not available to people, that comes from 3 places. Other places as well, but we'll look at 3 places, okay? Hermetic philosophy, the Bible, and the Kabbalah, okay? We'll discuss this later on. Don't worry too much about the occult right now. I'll show you what the occult is later on. But this is how the system works. All right, so there's certain questions about this. The first question is, okay, well, if this is true, why is this system separate from this system, right? Why not just say that the occult is the basis of everything, and then you have the elite, and then you have science, intelligence, crime, and then you have the empire, okay? And the reason why is this is really important for you guys to understand. This is the parasite, okay? This is the parasite. It doesn't actually create anything. All it does is suck up value, extract value. And this is the host. So in fact, these are 2 separate systems, right? This is the host, and this is the parasite.